Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the weekly Signs and Seasons report for the week commencing the 31st of January, highlighting the key aspects and events taking place, along with the themes that they highlight to us and what we can potentially expect over the next week. Now, as I've said in previous videos, the astrology doesn't control our lives in any way. It's a set of influences that helps us to understand what the collective energies are doing, and if we understand that, we can then make best use of the energies available to us by aligning with the key themes and making use of them in our own personal lives. But if we don't do that, then nothing's really going to change for us, because it's a process that we have to consciously engage in. It's not something that's just going to happen for us. So in terms of the themes for this week, I'll start off with the moon's passage through the signs as usual. So we begin with the moon in Leo, and this is a time of focusing on showing emotional warmth, in being playful, expressing or trying out different forms of self-expression. And then on Thursday, the moon will move into Virgo. So this is a much more practical signs. They may bring a feeling of needing to get things organised, dealing with the practicalities and nuts and bolts of life, and looking at our physical and mental health, and possibly making changes in a diet if we wanted to boost our health. Then on Saturday, the moon will enter Libra. This is a time it's focusing on our relationships, not necessarily romantic, it could just be friendships, but looking, spending time with one another, seeing how each other's getting along, and also building bridges with people, so potentially creating new relationships or just strengthening the connections that we already have. And then finally on Tuesday, the moon will enter Scorpio. So this will be a time where emotion will be drawn down deep within us, to understand our deeper motivations for doing things, understanding the deeper workings of our own minds, and potentially we may find that old hurts can sometimes surface at this time, but these are just, because they're old hurts, what's the point in holding on to them, and better off releasing them so that they're not clouding our judgment. Now the key event, both key events are taking place on the same day. We have this lunar eclipse in Leo, and this is going to be a key theme. That the lesson of the lunar eclipse is effectively over 6 months, but it's opening a 2-week window where anything that's old and no longer serves our lives, we need to let go of it and jettison it. Now, with it being North Node eclipse, this is also emotionally connecting with the themes that we need to work on in order to become the best version of ourselves. So with this being Leo, this is about encouraging authentic self-expression, encouraging our creativity, and building confidence through taking action based on pursuing our own personal dreams. And Leo is also the development of the ego, just developing an individual sense of self, independence of family conditioning. So it's learn to express our own unique sense of self, express that authentic self, and engaging in play in order to try out these different forms of self-expression, and to extend emotional warmth to one another, to extend that playful spirit that we see in children before they're conditioned out of it. So we all have that inner child, we all need to express that. But in order to do this, we have to look at what's happening in the South Node in Aquarius, and this is going to be highlighting things like, where do we engage in aloofness out of fear of what other people think? Where do we go follow the flow of the crowd, so it'd be out of a sense of needing to conform to social expectations? And potentially could also be, where do we engage in rebellious nature or rebellious actions but without a cause? So it's understanding, where do we either seek conformity for security, or where do we engage in rebellious behaviour in order to feel unique without actually doing the transformational work of understanding our true deeper nature. And by this I'm talking about the part of us that is unique to who we are and would be the same no matter where we were born in the world and no matter what culture we were raised in. Each and every one of us has a unique expression that is independent of all external conditioning, and it's this side of us, often known as individuational self-realization. But if we allow fear to get in the way, then we may fear emotions, we may become very aloof and be reluctant to engage in other people that could potentially cause emotional upset or stir the emotions, when North Node in Leo is saying, no, embrace the emotions, embrace those creative fires, embrace those warm feelings and share it with other people. Become the best version of yourself through nurturing the divine spark within each individual, because the health of the whole is dependent on the health of the individual parts. So based on that, surely if we want to move humanity forward in a positive direction, we have to work on ourselves and be the best versions of ourselves rather than relying on other people to do the work for us. Now the other change on the same day is Mercury's moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius. So up to now, for the past few weeks, Mercury's been focusing on the need for discipline, of aligning our thinking patterns towards achieving goals and achieving greater mental discipline and mental self-control. But with Aquarius, we're now looking at the rational mind becoming more tuned to the higher mind. So it's allowing the unconventional ideas and the more humanitarian ideas to come through and permeate our normal thinking, and look at new ways of doing things, or look at new ideas to solutions that hasn't been thought of, because everyone's so far I've only stuck to conventional wisdom, rather than looking at new ideas. Because for any given problem, yes, there's always a solution, but usually that solution is in the next level of consciousness above the level of consciousness that created the problem in the first place. So with Mercury in Aquarius, this is a time for kind of stepping outside of the matrix, as I've heard it put, and look at new ideas or novel way of doing things. And also it's about mental freedom. So it's releasing from the rational mind any thought patterns that shackle us, and also attune our ideas to the collective. So if we understand what is going on around us, or we can understand the big picture and we can see or identify an idea that will help resolve a problem, we can then share this knowledge and share these ideas with people who are receptive to with the same mindset, and then work together to create new solutions to existing problems so they can be resolved. But we have to learn to accept these new ideas to begin with. If we resist change, then things will always carry on as they are, and the problems that we're seeing around us that so many people are lamenting, but people aren't suggesting solutions, they'll just continue and perpetuate and potentially get worse. So we have to allow new insights, allow change to take place, and transform the rational mind and the intellect through different ways of thinking, of novel ways of thinking, and communicating that with the people who are receptive to new ideas, and then working together, identify how these ideas can be implemented in a humanitarian way that is designed to not only boost the well-being of the individuals, but boost the well-being of the wider community. But we have to do this work consciously ourselves. But the overall theme for the next week is going to be the eclipse window, where whatever has outlived its purpose in our lives, we need to let go of it. So we may already know what's no longer serving us or what we need to let go of, but we may also feel resistance to this. So part of it is relaxing and a need for faith, and faith that something better can come along. But we need to understand that we have to clear the space first, because a new structure cannot be built if old structures are already occupying that space. We have to clear out the old from our psyches, clear out the old ways of being, in order to embrace a new way, in order to take new goals. So if we don't transform our minds, if we don't let go of the past and let go of structures which we used to value but have clearly ceased to be of any use to us, we need to have the courage to let go of these and have faith that a new way of being that is more aligned with who we are will be shown to us. So it's a time of going with the flow, of letting go of the need to try and control everything, and letting wisdom from the higher mind show us what we need to be creating now, based on who we are, and also why we need to transform our individual spark, creativity and divine potential, and nurture it, so it goes from just being a spark to a flame which can warm us and provide warmth and encouragement to other people. Because a spark can only feel warm and pleasant if it's actually been nurtured into a flame, and let that flame of creativity strengthen and manifest as emotional warmth and generosity, and the encouragement of other people to embrace the same process, so that they too can understand that they have the creative potential within them, but also let that emotional warmth of love boost first ourselves through loving the self and the new forms of self-expression we're learning, and then through that give it to other people. But if we can't love ourselves first, then it's not going to happen. So with Ceres being active at the lunar eclipse, being loose, almost conjunct the North Node, is a time of learning to nurture ourselves, to go within and explore that creative spark within us, and spend enough time to turn that spark into a flame, so that, and eventually so to the point where it's self-reinforcing and is less likely to be snuffed out by stuff happening around us. But we have to take that inward journey and spend enough time with ourselves to create that flame in the first place and strengthen it to the point that we don't let that flame be snuffed out and we end up hiding our self-expression or hiding our creative potential, when our creative ideas may be just the thing that other people need to encourage them to embrace the same. But we all have to do the work ourselves, on ourselves, otherwise this isn't going to happen. So I hope it's a useful guide for you. Overall, the week is going to be about letting go of the old and going with the flow to see what new things we need to bring. So it's relaxing down, going inwards, and letting new ideas, new visions, and new creative impulses express themselves, so we can see what we create, what new things we want to create within our lives, and then have the courage to pursue it and take the action necessary to manifest those goals. Because when we have the solar eclipse later in the month on the 15th, this marks the new beginnings, and this is the time. So this 2-week window is important for us to clear out the old, empty our minds of the junk, to allow the new things to come through. So I hope that's a useful guide for the week. May bring you many blessings and much growth. Take care.